Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something maybe a bit different, but honestly super practical.
Yeah, we've got this recording right, a conversation.
Exactly. Between a native British English speaker, Emma, and a learner, Jake. They're just chatting, practicing English.
And our job really is to dig into that chat, find the useful bits.
Right. We're hunting for those little nuggets about how conversations actually, flow, the kind of language people use day to day.
Plus, maybe some cultural notes, tips for learners that just pop up naturally.
Yeah, basically looking for what helps you sound more natural, how to handle those everyday kinds of conversations. So let's get into it.
Sounds good. And what's great about using a real conversation like this, it's not a textbook, is it?
Not at all.
You hear the language as it's actually used. All the slight messiness, the rhythm of people talking back and forth.
That's where the real learning happens, I think.
Totally. And this one starts, well, exactly how you'd expect a casual chat to start.
Just checking in, right? Small talk.
Pretty much. You know, the usual, how's it going? Straight into talking about work, getting home.
Oh, yeah. Walking the dog came up, someone having a long day.
That classic phrase, one of those days.
Yeah. It says so much without needing all the details, doesn't it? Instantly relatable.
Exactly. It's like a shorthand for I'm tired, maybe a bit stressed.
It signals you're sharing something, but maybe don't want to hold deep dive into why. Just, acknowledging it.
And that led them naturally into talking about how they chill out after days like that.
Right. The unwinding rituals. What did they mention? Tea. Tea, definitely. Comfy clothes, watching Netflix. Emma said she does journaling sometimes.
How interesting.
And Jake.
He mentioned watching YouTube videos, which was kind of interesting because it was partly unwinding, partly still learning English.
Combining downtime with practice. Smart.
Yeah, shows you can fit it in. And notice how they kept it going. One person shares, the other asks back.
Like, how about you? Or what about you? Keeps the conversation balanced.
Yeah, it's not just politeness. It's like essential for it to be a real back and forth.
Okay, so they've checked in, talked about winding down. Where did the conversation kind of pivot next?
It moves smoothly into hobbies, personal interests. Another really common area once you're past the hellos.
Makes sense. So what came up?
Jake talked about starting guitar.
Oh, yeah. How's he finding it?
He used that great phrase, said it was harder than I thought.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Simple, but very effective way to put it. Captures that early struggle.
Definitely. And he used pickup for starting the hobby, which is, perfect natural phrasing.
Did Emma have a similar experience?
Well, she mentioned trying the piano, but she had to give up.
Another good phrasal verb, give up. Why was that?
Said she didn't have the patience, but also, and this made it feel very real, noisy neighbors.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's a very practical problem, isn't it? Those little real-life details, they make it much more engaging.
Totally. They also touched on music tastes a bit. Indie rock, lo-fi.
And Jake's reason for learning guitar was just wanting to play songs he actually likes.
Simple motivation, but powerful. And that sort of led into another big topic. Food.
Always a good one. What about food?
Jake had apparently tried to make a full British breakfast.
Oh, brave. The legendary fry-up. How did that go?
Well, he admitted he, quote, messed it up.
Messed it up. Yeah, great phrasal verb again. Happens to the best of us with cooking. What went wrong?
He forgot the beans. Burned the toast, maybe? Something like that.
Minor details in the grand scheme of a fry-up.
Exactly. And Emma was good about it, sort of reassuring if it wasn't too bad. Keeps it light,
But they did list the key parts, didn't they? Good for learners to hear.
Yeah. Baked beans, sausages, eggs, mushrooms, toast.
Yeah.
And the controversial one.
Black pudding. Described as an acquired taste.
Which is such a useful phrase, acquired taste. It's polite, isn't it? A way of saying, this might be weird if you're not used to it without being negative.
Much better than saying, that looks gross. It suggests you might grow to like it.
Precisely. And Jake then compared to breakfast in his country.
Oh, yeah. What was that like?
Cheese, olives, bread. And his comment was much healthier, to be honest.
That little, to be honest, tag feels very natural, adds a bit of sincerity.
It really does. These little bits make it sound like real people talking, not just reading facts.
So speaking of trying new things, did they talk about travel?
They did, yeah. Travel's always a great topic for practice, isn't it? Sharing stories, describing places.
Definitely. Where did Jake talk about?
He'd been to Scotland, specifically mentioned Edinburgh and the Highlands.
Lovely. What was his impression?
He really focused on the scenery, said it was beautiful, green, peaceful. Simple words, but they paint a picture.
Yeah, you get the feeling. Did Emma know Scotland?
Yeah, she chimed in about Edinburgh Castle, so she was clearly
Yeah.
listening and connecting it to her own knowledge.
Good conversational technique. And sticking with Scotland, did the infamous haggis come up?
Oh, absolutely. They had to talk about haggis.
And what's the verdict from Jake? Brave enough to try it.
He was. And his reaction was basically, it wasn't as bad as he'd feared. Actually, he said it was surprisingly tasty.
That often seems to be the way people build it up in their minds.
Exactly. And Emma used another fantastic expression here. She said something like, it's all in your head, right?
Ah, yes. It's all in your head.
Meaning, once you get past the idea of the ingredients, the taste itself is actually okay.
That's such a versatile phrase. Applies to so much more than just food, like overcoming fears or assumptions.
Totally. It's about your mindset affecting your experience. Really useful idiom.
So Jake liked Scotland. Did he want to see more of the UK?
Yeah, he mentioned wanting to visit Wales, talked about its stunning coast.
And Emma offered recommendations, right? Which is a nice, natural way that conversation develops. Sharing leads to helping.
Exactly. And from travel and personal experiences, they sort of shifted again, this time to broader topics like the news.
Okay, talking about current events can be tricky for learners sometimes.
Yeah, but it came up quite naturally. The specific thing was changes in London's public transport fares.
Oh, a classic London topic. Prices going up again.
You got it. And how expensive the tube is getting.
Plus, they mentioned the context of recent strikes adding to the general sort of frustration.
Right. It shows how real conversations mix the personal impact, like cost, with bigger news events.
Did they talk about alternatives?
Yeah, the bus came up, cheaper, and you get to see more of the city that way.
True. A practical tip emerging from a chat about price hikes.
And they also touched on just how they follow the news, like trying to stay informed but finding it all a bit too negative.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, and the idea of actively looking for good news stories instead.
Yeah.
It's more about their personal relationship with the news, not just the headlines.
Which kind of leads into expressing opinions more generally, doesn't it? How do they handle that?
Well, they got into a really relevant discussion for learners. English online versus in a classroom.
Oh, okay. Pros and cons.
Yeah. They mentioned the good things about online, learning the flexibility, learning at your own pace.
Being able to choose what you study, too. Big advantages.
Definitely. But they didn't just praise it. They also acknowledged the downside.
Which is?
Missing the face-to-face interaction, that social element of a classroom.
Yeah, that's a common point. It's good they showed both sides. Makes it feel balanced.
And this whole discussion about how to learn led to maybe the biggest takeaway for you listening.
Go on.
The main point they really stressed was that conversation practice is key, like really vital.
You absolutely can't learn to speak fluently just by watching videos. They said that explicitly.
Pretty much, yeah. Watching is passive, right? You have to actually produce the language, speak it.
Couldn't agree more. Theory versus practice.
And Jake even mentioned how he gets that practice using apps, Tandem, HelloTalk, those ones.
Right, for finding native speakers to chat with.
Exactly. And, well, listening to podcasts.
Very meta. Okay, so as they wrapped up their chat, Emma gave Jake some feedback, didn't she?
She did, yeah. Some really positive encouragement.
Which is so important when you're learning.
Totally.
Oh.
She told him he was doing brilliantly and that his English was clearly improving with practice.
That must have been great to hear. And did they pull out one main piece of advice from it all?
Yes. The #1 tip for learners that came through was, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
The classic advice, but maybe the most important, it really holds people back, that fear.
It really does. Mistakes aren't, failures. They're just part of the process, how you learn.
Right. And linked to that.
Just speak as much as you can, even if you feel shy.
Yeah.
Push through the discomfort.
Get those words out. Volume leads to fluency eventually.
It's all about consistency, really. Keep practicing.
Digging into just this one conversation, it shows so much, doesn't it? It's not about just memorizing grammar.
Not at all. It's about the rhythm, the give and take, the topics people actually talk about, and using all those everyday phrases we picked out.
Things like one of those days or acquired taste. Using phrasal verbs like pick up or mess up naturally.
Yeah, and navigating things like opinions, politely disagreeing or agreeing. It's about connection.
Fluency feels less about being perfect and more about just, communicating effectively using the language people actually use.
Exactly. Every chat you have is a chance to learn more about how English works in the real world.
Okay, so thinking about how their conversation ended, Jake made that joke, didn't he? About wanting to speak only in slang next time.
Ah, yeah. Ambitious.
It got me thinking, though, and maybe this is something for you to ponder after listening to this deep dive. We heard lots of natural, everyday language today, but how much does mastering really informal stuff like slang actually matter for sounding native? And where's the line? How do you judge when casual chat is fine and when maybe you need slightly more formal language depending on the situation or who you're talking to?
Yeah. That's a really interesting question. Balancing authenticity with appropriateness. Definitely something to think about as you continue your own language journey.